The visits went well for the 5-star recruits, but is it enough?
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Brian Smith, host of The Portal, joining us. The Portal's Locked On's Recruiting, NIL, Transfer Portal podcast. And we'll talk about Marquez Daniel, the local, very talented wide receiver picking Florida over Auburn. What could that mean, if anything? Solid visit with commits, including Shadarius Toodle. An interesting quote from him. We'll discuss him in a moment. But good visits for the 5 stars. I mean, that was definitely the headliner, especially Shadarius Morgan, the 5-star receiver from Benjamin Russell, down to Auburn and Alabama, it seems like. And he's announcing very, very soon. But the other one, the other 5-star that was in town this weekend, Bralan Womack, the defensive back, Mississippi kid. It sounds like he was impressed with Auburn. Going to Ohio State next week, has been an Ohio State fan for the majority of his life, but I kind of wrote this one off, Brian. It's like, it's great that he's visiting, but now, I don't know. Maybe I'm ready to get hurt again. I don't know. I'm starting to believe just a little bit. I heard the visit went well and Auburn is happy with everything with him.
That's all you can ask for when the kid comes. You got to impress him. For those who don't know, his sister is a softball player at Auburn, so he's been there a bazillion times. He's talking about, with one of the interviews, that he knows the building like the back of his hand. He knows Auburn as a city like the back of his hand. So comfort is not an issue. Now, can you get him to spurn his childhood favorite program, the Ohio State Buckeyes? That is not easy, especially coming off a national title run and them having arguably the best player in college football as a safety in their lineup too. So
good point. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they're going to pitch that to him. I would.
Yeah. It's like, hey, look at Caleb Downs. Right. This goes back to like every kid is different and what's important to them is going to change based on, kid to kid and personality to personality. His sister being here, how important is that? And then, being a Mississippi kid, like, do you want your family to come see you? It's going to be a lot easier for them to come to Auburn because they're already doing that, you'd assume to some extent, versus them going up to Columbus. So if you're Auburn, you hope that stuff matters. He said in an interview, I think it was with Christian Clemente, he said, back for the 50th time. Of course, he was joking, but implying like, dude, I've been here so many times. Yeah, it was the first official visit, but he's seen everything and he knows Auburn, like you said. You hope that's enough.
Again, that's all you can really do. I mean, at this point, I read part of that article. Like he skipped out on some of the meetings because he'd been to so many of them before. I'm like, holy cow, that means you really know what's going on. So this might just be a comfort play at the end of the day because there's really nothing else Auburn can sell if he's been there that many times. And you almost don't want to be pushy because the kid, he's highly intelligent. I know him. He's a really highly intelligent kid, academically, socially. So he's not going to be fooled anyway. He's kind of have to make up his own mind on it. But the Buckeye visit next week, we'll probably know within a day or so after he leaves that campus.
It's going to be crucial. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if you saw some RPMs and crystal balls going either for Auburn or Ohio State or wherever after that visit.
Yep.
I agree with you there. Yeah, I guess the other side of like, okay, you've been to Auburn a ton. The other side of it is like, the new shiny thing, the moving away from home. Well, this goes back to like, what does the kid want? Like, that could be super, super enticing. Like you said, they're the defending national champs. Ryan Day can walk him past, not only Caleb Downs' locker, but, here's the most recent national championship. We've got it everywhere. We've got it all throughout the program. And that's going to matter. It should matter for sure. So it's an interesting recruitment. It's an interesting dynamic. But, we're just not going to know until after this weekend.
I'm good with that. Like, Auburn fans should be happy they're battling for a 5-star safety that grew up an Ohio State fan. Right off the bat. Because normally when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work out for any. It doesn't want to work out for Alabama either. Like that's just the way it is when a kid's a big fan
Yeah,
like that.
I guess that is one way to look at it. It's like, oh man, it's down to Auburn and Ohio State for this kid. Like that's cool, that's great, but Auburn is tired of being second for all of these kids. I mean, there's been so many prospects and recruits that they've been second for that have gone to Bama, and then you see them dominate at Bama and then go to the NFL draft. Same with Georgia, getting second for a kid, trying to get him out of the state of Georgia, and they choose to stay home and go to Athens and a similar song and dance. It being against Ohio State is a little bit different. Trying to think of the last time Auburn and Ohio State really went after.
Well, the cornerback that ended up at
Kayin
Oregon.
Lee, right? Kayin Lee was committed to Ohio State. Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
Who's the quarterback that they were both going? Brock Glenn, was that his name? He went to FSU eventually, I think.
Yeah, he's the backup at Florida State. And I think that's all he's ever going to be. But yeah.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, still, that's the last time I really remember like talking about it. But yeah, Blake Woodby, sure. Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe Auburn will get this one. They've gotten better, the better of Ohio State with other defensive back battles. So we'll see.
It is what it is if you miss on one kid. But again, Auburn's in on everybody down south, man.
Yeah, right.
They've done a great job with it. So like knowing they're coming off a 5-7 season, they're way ahead of where I thought they would be with the visits and everything. Just to be really blatantly honest, I really do.
Yeah. The other 5-star in town, Shadarius Morgan, said similar things, and he's been here a million times, which is true. He knows what Auburn has to offer. It doesn't feel like it's Auburn right now.
Well,
for Shadarius Morgan.
Jeffrey Lee thinks he's going to pick Bama, and he thinks that Auburn has a good chance to flip him for whatever that's worth. I mean, probably. I don't know how true. When I talked to Shadarius in a few weeks at his press conference, I asked him. But he announces the 2nd of July, for those who don't know, and it's at one of the local buildings in Alexander City. I don't remember where exactly.
Yeah, I mean, Auburn's putting themselves in a situation. I mean, getting second for a lot of these guys. Like, I've said this a bunch on the show over the last 2 or 3 weeks, Brian. Like, I think a lot of these elite guys like Auburn, I just don't think they can fully trust it with the way the on-field production when it comes to wins and losses has been over the last 2 years. And you can't really blame them. You can only sell futures so long. If Auburn goes 8-4 or 9-3 or better this year, I think they're in a prime spot to flip some of these guys. Is Shadarius Morgan one of them? I hope so. Am I holding my breath on it? No, but I do think Auburn will be in a situation to position themselves to where this isn't over until signing day in December.
That's all you can ask on that front too. If you miss a kid, I mean, it's just what else are you going to do? He lives 50 minutes from Auburn's campus. You're never going to stop recruiting Shadarius Morgan. And the last time I went to see him practice, multiple Auburn people were there scouting him and following him around the field. So, I mean, it's not a lack of effort if they don't get him. I can assure you that.
Yeah. I said going into the weekend that Auburn's most important visits were not the 5 stars. And it sounds like that went well over the weekend. That's next right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets. It doesn't matter if it's to football, basketball, baseball, a concert. Was talking to somebody yesterday. They sent me a message that, hey, remind me your code again. I know I could pull up the show and fast forward to the commercials, but it's Locked On College. That gives you $20 off your first purchase on the free Game Time app. With Game Time, you can see the exact view of your seat before you buy. The app makes it ridiculously simple. You can buy a ticket in like 2 taps and you're done. And with the Game Time guarantee, you're getting the best deal. If you find a better price in the same row and section, they'll credit you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Brian Smith, host of The Portal, hanging out with us today. I said going into the weekend, yes, Shadarius Morgan, yes, Bralan Womack are crucial. They're big deals. They're 5 stars that you're having on campus. That's a win. That's a win. But I did say that they needed to make sure that the guys who are currently committed that are taking their official visits this past weekend to make sure they feel loved. Devin Carter and Denarius Gray, the talented wide receivers, and then Shadarius Toodle, the 4-star in-state linebacker from Mobile. Toodle, talking with reporters as he's on the way out, says, hey, Auburn is back on top, or they're back in the top spot, was his quote. And with him getting, a prediction from Steve Wiltfong a few weeks ago for him to flip to Georgia, this is a huge deal. Holding on to recruits doesn't show up. It's not exciting because there's not like a moment where it happens. But if they hold on to Toodle because of this weekend, that is a huge, huge deal.
If he would have decommitted, it would have been a huge deal. And sometimes you want to avoid news. So that's the other way to look at that.
100%.
And this is an inside linebacker that could grow into an edge. It could be a guy that plays outside linebacker. He's just a really good athlete. And he has the frame you're looking for to play in the Southeastern Conference. Seeing his film made it pretty easy. I know he plays against pretty average competition at the small school level, but he just completely dominates like he should.
Yeah.
And his family is just full of athletes. So Auburn wants to be the in-state program. He was one of the first kids to commit. He's from Mobile. All the things they want. This is what you're looking at. Like Baylor, Georgia, all these programs coming after him. I'm like, I don't know where Shadarius Toodle is going to go. So when I read that same quote, and I'm like, okay, something went right on the visit. I need to dig in to find out what it may have been. But like, we were not getting that kind of feedback over the last month at all.
You're right. It was kind of like, let's see, or, I'm still committed, or I've got to take my visits, whatever that might be. And it's so easy if you're a recruit that, you're not, it's so easy to dance around it as a recruit or as a commit when you get those questions. He chose to say, no, Auburn is first again, which one implies at a moment that they weren't first. Right.
There you go.
And then two, it implies that they are back in first because that's exactly what he said. So to me, he didn't have to say that. And I think it's refreshing, one, that he did. And two, it's a big deal for the Tigers that they are back in the top spot.
I think he also helps with the other in-state recruits. You and I were going over the list before the show. They're in on everybody, like in the top 15 in some capacity.
Sure.
If he pledges to Auburn, then picks another school later, that's not going to help your cause in fill in the blank, Cedarian Morgan or pick the player. But that's another thing. Like, this is a very unique state. The kids in Alabama, for the most part, they all know each other, the elite recruits, and they know each other really early.
Yeah.
So if somebody backs out on Auburn, that hurts a little bit differently here than it would other places, because Auburn's two main rivals are frickin' Georgia and Bama. I mean, that's uphill sledding as it is. So you don't need anything else to make it more difficult.
Yeah, according to 247, Shadarius Toodle is the 14th ranked player in the state. So still, according to 247, Auburn has one guy committed in the top 10 in Alabama. Now, granted, most of these guys aren't committed yet. I got a feeling we're going to see a lot of that in the next 2 weeks or so. But that one guy right now is Hezekiah Harris. So take that for what it's worth. Take that for what it's worth. I haven't heard anything from Devin Carter or Denarius Gray. Have you seen any of their quotes?
Devin Carter is probably going to Auburn. It surprises me. Yep.
Okay.
He did. I did see something.
Did he say anything specific that made you think that, or
he just thought that Auburn was the place? He said that after the Florida State visit and after the Auburn visit, he just thought Auburn was home for him. That's a pretty darn good indicator. I thought he was flipping to Florida State. I really did.
Yeah, you mentioned that last week. You hinted at it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was. His dad, for those who don't know, his dad was a famous Florida State player under Bowden, NFL player, all that stuff. So he's obviously loyal to FSU, but
yeah,
the kid goes to Douglas County High School just outside Atlanta. He's been to Auburn, good Lord, I don't know how many times for visits, and they've recruited him hard. So, and I know Deuce was involved with Cedarian and everybody else, so that probably helped as well. But yeah, it sounds like he's going to stick with the Auburn Tigers.
When you see a player like Deuce, who's probably not going to be the starting quarterback this year, but he's still so involved in recruiting these guys. You've told other stories where you've been talking to recruits and the Deuce came up and, joined the conversation. Sure. This isn't unusual. What do you take from that when you see an outspoken leader that maybe it's not his team yet, but he's very active in the recruitment process? What do you take from that?
He wants to win. Deuce is like the guy that you hang out with and watch a ball game. He won't say much. He'll speak more when you ask him something. Yeah. But this is the one time that he helped Auburn recruit kids last year too.
He did.
He's more of a text and just quick comment guy. He's pretty withdrawn. He's not like a super outgoing personality, but he will let you know his thoughts. And like if you've seen Deuce play live, you and I have, and these kids see the film and stuff. If you're a receiver, it'd be kind of hard not to be excited about that anyway. And he'd have to say anything about that. So, hey, this is going to be your quarterback. I had somebody at Auburn last year tell me that's something they were like pitching. Like we're going to have this guy throwing you the ball. Again, that's probably a pretty good pitch. So you got offers from pretty much every program in the South, Notre Dame, obviously, and several other programs. There's a reason they did. So it's an easy sell to receivers.
Yeah. I've always called it swag or moxie. Yeah. I think the kids now call it aura, but Deuce has it. Maybe you want to call it it factor. I don't care. But Deuce has whatever you want to call that traits that you cannot teach. Deuce has it. And you want him involved with all of these kids, as many as possible.
Yeah, I agree. He's a really good spokesperson because he's just likable, very down to earth. A lot of the kids that I've scouted like him are not much fun to be around, and I avoid those interviews. With him, he's fun to be around. He'll come over to the media and talk to us about stuff, unsolicited. Like he's a rare bird.
Yeah, it's a big deal. Glad Auburn got him. Marquez Daniel, local kid. I thought he was going to commit to the Tigers on an OV to Florida. He commits. What does that mean? Is it final? That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Make the portal with Brian Smith your second listen every single day. I'm sure you have a few things going on to talk about in the recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal world. Just a little bit. Just a little.
A couple of things. A couple. Yeah, we're kind of busy over there.
Yeah, I bet. All right, let's talk about Marquez Daniel, local kid, picks Florida over Auburn. You caught wind of this about 6 hours or so before the graphic was put out. You sent me a text. It's like, not sounding good for Marquez Daniel. I'm like, oh no, that's not great. You nailed it. What do you think was the pitch for him? And what do you think this means for how Auburn is pursuing him?
I would imagine it's not that you reassess what you did wrong or something, but like he lives 20 minutes from Jordan-Hare, like give or take 25 on a bad traffic day. So maybe it's just one of those deals he wanted to try something new and he was just blown away. I have often found that when kids like him go to these out-of-state programs, and Florida's an easy sell, let's not kid ourselves.
Totally.
But at the same time, the euphoria of a visit will wear off. Tennessee, LSU, Michigan, whatever program a kid goes to. But home is still 20 minutes from the campus. Like he could go home technically about every other day. I'm not advising that. If he wanted to from campus.
Yeah.
That is a rare thing. Maybe he doesn't want that. Maybe he wants to be away from it. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But the Florida visit is a sell. And they needed a big receiver. They don't have a dude. I'm sure they pitched him on that. Auburn would be able to pitch, hey, Cam's going to be here one more year. You'd have a chance to be the guy that plays the boundary spot your sophomore year. And he would. So that would be my pitch. I don't know what Auburn is. They're looking at it more of a social point of view or more of a football. But him being 20 minutes away and committing this early to UF tells me that he at least thought that he just wanted to get away. Maybe that changes. I wouldn't stop recruiting him. And like not that this is a surprise either, but Billy Napier is on the hottest of hot seats.
Sure.
So you have to recruit him like it's just wide open. That's my advice.
And Florida's got an uphill battle. I mean, their schedule is brutal. I mean, I don't care what team you are.
Yeah, it's really
I mean, if you're a top half team in the SEC and you have that schedule, I'm like, you've got a stacked deck going against you. So how do they navigate that? We'll see. Like if Florida struggles, it's obviously going to help Auburn. Now Auburn needs to not struggle. Auburn needs to, we've talked about the 8-4, 9-3 to, potentially flip some of these kids. Marquez Daniel is part of that. He's certainly on that list of guys that if Auburn performs well, this will all work itself out. But my question is, like, can they do it? They're going to have to. So when you look at this class, they've got 2 good receivers committed, Denarius Gray and Devin Carter.
Yeah, I would take those 2 in any class. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I don't care. Somehow Gray still is like not a 4-star everywhere, which I just don't understand, but whatever. But my gut is they'll take 3 receivers and Shadarius Morgan, like if you can get him, like you don't care about numbers, right? With a guy like that.
If you had 5 receivers, you would take him as number 6.
It's like, we'll figure it out. Yeah, sure. Come on, whatever. And if somebody decommits because of it's like, oh, okay, that worked itself out. But we're not in that situation. So I just wonder, if they actively pursue and pivot to, maybe another receiver, or do they continue pursuing Daniel? I'm just curious to see, because, we already had the conversation about CD Morgan. I'm just not sold that that's going to happen. So I'm interested to see who they start pushing more at wide receiver to join this class.
Well, there's 2 parts to that. Number one, you're always looking for a new guy that's emerging.
Sure.
And secondarily, I guarantee, because this is what pretty much all staffs do, they're recruiting multiple guys that are committed to school ABC.
Yeah.
That are committed to those programs, and you liked them. Hey, just so you know, if you want to come to a game this fall, this and that. That's Auburn's history with flipping guys late is pretty impressive.
You're right.
So that would be my guess. Could be a kid out of Mississippi. And there, by the way, Jase.
I was about to say, I think the only other receiver that's been on OV, do not quote me on this, I'm just kind of glancing at it, is Jase Matthews from Mississippi.
Jase will be Ole Miss or Auburn. And he is electrifying. So he's one of my favorite players. I was actually talking to his mom via message the other day, and like, they know what they got.
I feel like it's Auburn or Ole Miss, because he just visited A&M, right? And then he has, I assume LSU is the last one.
I can't remember if it's LSU or not, but might be Mississippi State.
Okay.
It's hard to say. He's from southeastern Mississippi, small town
Here
kid.
It is. So his OVs in order: May 9th, Colorado; May 30th, Ole Miss; Auburn on June 6th; A&M on June 13th. This is according to 247, his 247 page. And then June 20th is LSU.
Okay. LSU's always hard to turn down. Don't get me wrong, but I don't.
Where is Leakesville, Mississippi? Is it towards the south of the state? Is it towards LSU, Louisiana?
It's close to the Alabama border. He lives in the town just north of where Deuce is from. Him and Deuce are buddies.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, Deuce is the one that kind of told me about it. So.
Oh, interesting. All right. So yeah, Jase Matthews. Maybe that's the name to maybe that push gets even.
Yeah, his decision is huge. Because
yeah, I mean,
he's one of the.
It's a bigger deal now than it was, right? Just because of Daniel picking Florida.
If you asked me to pick the best just pure athlete in the class of 26, it would be Jase Matthews. Period.
Of receivers or just everyone?
Period.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Just, is he like a better, like, is he more athletic Malcolm? Is he that kind of receiver?
His like acrobatic catches, got a big hand. Like he'll catch the ball going behind his head.
Oh,
he's the guy that can take
type stuff.
Yeah, he was taking the ball through his legs and dunking it in 9th grade. I mean, he's not a normal human being.
Yeah. So, maybe Jase Matthews is a guy to look at. So we'll see. And then the other guys that took visits this weekend, did we talk about all of them? Xavier Crowell is the only other one we didn't talk about.
That's coming up pretty quick. Auburn, Florida State, he had a great visit to FSU this weekend. everybody's kind of waiting to see where he goes. He's a prior Texas A&M commit. He's from
That's
Langston
Xavier Tiller.
Hughes.
Xavier Tiller, right?
Wait a minute. Who'd you say? Oh, Crowell. I'm
Crowell.
sorry, Crowell. That one, he's going to Bama next weekend. My apologies.
So you're fine. You're fine. I think he goes to Bama, right? Like Bama's the favorite here, right?
Right. I don't even know who the other program would be besides Auburn in that mix. He's taken some other visits, but I haven't heard a lot of juice. Georgia had a decent visit, but
Texas, I think, is the other one.
Yeah. I think it's the University of Alabama from everything that everybody said, but
yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, the Xavier Tiller one is interesting because it was reported that he took his OV last week and he was going to come back this week for an unofficial.
Right.
And it's like, that would have been incredible. But yeah, he made it to FSU, and it sounds like FSU knocked it out of the park with him.
So now it's kind of like you're just.
So what happens?
Yeah.
What was he said he wanted to shock. He was going to shock people.
Yeah, he told some of the FSU people he's going to shock people. It's recruiting. No offense to him, but nobody shocks me anymore. But
yeah, it's like the only thing that would be shocking, especially with him. I mean, he's been committed elsewhere. It's like the only thing that would be shocking is if he committed to somewhere like he didn't visit. That's the only thing that he could do that would be shocking.
Don't question that happening. That's happened before.
And he'll be right. If he does, then he would be correct, and he is going to shock people. And that means he's not going to Auburn because he took a visit here.
Well, most people thought he was headed to Auburn. We thought that for 2 months, and he just kept dragging it out. So now I don't know. I have no idea what to expect. None whatsoever.
Yeah. So, yes, the world of recruiting. And you can get more of that great world of recruiting. How, Brian Smith?
On the Portal Podcast, recruiting, NIL, and the transfer portal 7 days a week. I personally guarantee it. I just had a podcast go up a few minutes ago. So
I'm sure.
It will be really busy the next 2 weeks. It will be my 2 to 3 busiest weeks of the year.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Be sure to make the portal part of your daily routine for sure. Please like the video. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.